Hello and welcome to Dalby Forest. Although the legend of Dalby Forest is well known, it was only on an afterthought that we decided to visit. Our primary reason for being in the area was to ride National Cycle Route 1, or the Cinder Trail between Whitby and Scarborough. When we arrived and paid for parking, it was decided that Sarah and Doogie would try out the blue trail, and John and myself would hit the reds. We would do as much as we could before heat and exhaustion made us turn for home. As you can see from the map, Dalby Forest and the red routes around it are extensive. The forest covers around 8,000 acres and it is nestled on the southern slopes of the fantastic North York Moors. Our adventure begins in the main car park by the visitor centre, where we slowly make our way over to where both the red and blue trails open up with a switchback hill climb. The climbing is interesting, but you do need to be fit and happy with tight technical switchback corners, as you gain some elevation. If the climbing gets a little bit too much, there's plenty of places where you can stop and take a break. After around 3 days of climbing, you will eventually reach the summit, and there will be a fork in the trail. The red route, which myself and John took, goes left, however the blue route, which Sarah and Doogie took, continues onwards. This first section of the red trail gives you a fair indication of what's in store, with a few flowy sections, a couple of small drop-offs, berms and some sharp corners in the mix. After the descent, we are faced with a technical climb to gain even more height. This appears to be a theme that continues throughout the day. Small descents, sharp climb, small descent, sharp climb. After the second climb, you get to ride some nice long undulating and flowy sections through the forest. This is exactly what I love about forest riding. Like many other Forestry Commission areas, Dalby Forest is popular with cyclists and walkers alike. Just looking around and seeing this spectacular scenery helps you realise why. Many of these red sections are connected by fire roads which run through the length of the forest. Many of the fire roads can also be used to get you back to the visitor centre quickly in case of emergency or just that you've had enough for the day. After a long sunbathing session at the end of the forest road while waiting for John to turn up, because apparently he managed to get lost, we headed up once more into the heights of Dalby Forest. Narrow and technical single track climbs were what we found at this part of the route. To be honest, a lot of the day spent climbing, and when forming that initial impression in your mind, you must just assume that it will lead to a fantastic descent at the end, but will it? Here's more sections of the trail that have an undulating and flowy feel to them. Whilst riding through the forest on the various red trails, the range of surfaces, terrain and technical difficulty become apparent very quickly. The quality of the trails in this area has resulted in Dalby Forest often being used for UCI sanctioned events, XC and XCO, and in 2017 it also hosted the British Cycling National Cross Country Series. At the car park here there was a sign pointing towards a cafe a mile or so down the road, so after riding down, with no indication that it wouldn't be open, a gentleman there informed me that it wasn't in fact open. This sign here marks the start of the second red route, although you would have to ride all three or do an emergency escape down the fire road to get back to the visitor centre. It was beginning to feel like it had been a long day. Only a day or two before we had rode the 40 miles from Whitby to Scarborough and back, and that hadn't left either of us with fresh legs, but we plodded on nonetheless. One of the things that we did notice while riding around the course was the lack of alternatives when some of the trail obstacles were encountered. For example, if some obstacles were a little large or a drop off a little bit too far, there was not always a suitable alternative. However, this didn't bother me so much, but John was put off by some of the more severe trail features. The British Cycling Classification description for a red route says pretty much the following. Red are often described as being suitable for fit and technically proficient mountain bikers. Expect a reasonable significant amount of climbing, plenty of single track, and depending on the terrain, some fast and technical challenging descents. Trail surfaces will be rough and exposed roots and rocks. Trail features such as jumps, berms, drop-offs and boardwalk sections will also be expected, although generally on a red grade trail most of these should be rollable. Generally, the trail features we encountered were rollable. However, some of the descents were quite severe and would be off-putting to someone just trying out red route for the first time, possibly after riding a blue route at another location. I can honestly say that from memory, the red routes here at Dalby Forest are more challenging than the ones that I've already ridden at Sherwood Pines and Llandegla. Saying that, we are due to revisit Llandegla in the next couple of months, so that I can re-ride the red and blue routes while recording them this time. Obviously this will refresh my memory as to how sheer those climbs were on the red route. Just looking at the video brings back memories of how much climbing there actually was. Checking on Strava, I did around 1600 feet of climbing that day. The views are well worth it though, and I really do think it's a trail centre that the more you visit, the more it has to offer you, and the quicker you'll be able to ride around the trails that you know. All being well, we should be able to organise another trip out to Dalby Forest for early next year, so that we can get to grips with more of the trails the centre has to offer. Coming up is the only piece of boardwalk we saw on the trail when we were out that day. I hoped for more, and I think John hoped for less. I think it was that wide that you could have driven a bus over it, but I think it made John feel a bit uneasy when he suddenly realised he was riding on it. Towards the end of the trail, some of the paths we were using became very difficult to ride at any kind of speed. We were getting hungry and tired, and John had eaten all of the supplies that he had previously offered to share, as I hadn't bothered to bring any at all. and then he decided to take the escape route back to the visitor centre. So while you appreciate my extremely fast descent back to the visitor centre, right, weren't that fast actually, let's get on with the scores. For the time taken we cheated on this ride. We had around 3 hours of moving time, but stopping and sunbathing took its toll, and at the end of the ride we went to the cafe where we met up with Sarah and had some food and drink as well as a long rest. So we awarded the time just 4 wheels, rather than the 5 which my Strava ride may have suggested. A short and gentle ride around the perimeter of a forest it was not. However, the mileage was just shy of 20 miles, so it attracted a score of 2 wheels out of 5 for the distance. The terrain is mixed, with both gentle and severe ascents and descents. The trail builders have done an excellent job of using the landscape in which Dalby Forest lies, so we awarded the terrain 3 wheels. For technical difficulty we awarded 4 wheels out of 5. The trail's fast and flowy with some technical features thrown in for good measure. There is a good mix and it will keep you on your toes throughout your ride. Overall, we awarded Dalby Forest Red Routes 4 wheels out of 5. The forest and its trails are well maintained. The visitor centre is also excellent and has a cafe which serves some great food. The terrain is mixed, the technical difficulty of the trails fluctuates throughout the ride, so there may be some things you can ride easily and other things you might not be able to ride your first visit. All in all, it's a great day out. If you ride all 3 of the red trails in their entirety, it's a long red trail, coming in at over 20 miles, and it's probably the longest red trail in the world. Please feel free to correct me below if I'm wrong. If you ever get a chance to check out any of the trails at Dalby Forest, and take it, you won't be disappointed. If you enjoyed the video, please like and share. If you would like to see more of the routes that we cycle, then please subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to use the comment section below. If you would like to see another video straight away, there will be links to 3 more on the screen for you now. Until next time, stay safe on those trails and thanks for watching.